Hi, everyone tuning in. Welcome to Fully Booked Chats. This afternoon, we will chat with the creator of Eggslut and the host of The Burger Show on YouTube, and now co-author of Amboy, Recipes from the Filipino American Dream. Once called the King of LA, Alvin Cailan first grabbed the attention as a trailblazer in the culinary world when he launched the now legendary Eggslut food truck in Los Angeles. The truck rapidly became a favorite and a popular food destination with long lines at its Grand Central Market location. Alvin then turned his attention to supporting other aspiring restaurateurs and the promotion of LA's Filipino food movement. Within a year, Unit 120, his pop-up kitchen space, became the incubator for Amboy, his critically acclaimed Filipino food venture, along with the award-winning Filipino restaurant Plaza. Chef Alvin is now focusing on his true passion, bolstering the modern Filipino food movement across the United States. And today is arguably America's most high-profile champion of Filipino cuisine. He has been featured in numerous publications like Bon Appetit, Sunset Magazine, the New York Times, Saveur, Food and Wine, and Bloomberg. So let us, and he's also the host of the hugely popular The Burger Show on the YouTube channel of First We Feast, and has featured guest stars including Padma Lakshmi and Seth Rogen. Let's all welcome Chef Alvin Gailan. Hi, Chef.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So how are you doing right now?
We're in, I guess, in the culinary world, we're surviving.
Uh-huh.
Obviously with the pandemic, it's been a little weird. So, we're doing the best that we can to really plant the Filipino flag as well, while sustaining business during this time.
How is Eggslut or Amboy doing right now in the middle of the pandemic?
I think that Eggslut is doing fine. They have a third party delivery, so they're able to deliver the food to people who want Eggslut. And then as far as Amboy is concerned, we're open. We literally just open the door and we serve our customers. So we're doing okay. Our community, we're based in Chinatown here in
Oh,
downtown Los Angeles. Yeah, and so we've been a fixture here for the last decade, and we've been getting a lot of support from the community because we're also selling raw meat.
yes,
We're a
I
butcher shop
saw.
as well. Yeah, so people come here for their provisions to stock up their refrigerator during the week when they
Yes.
quarantine. So I think we're resilient and we're maneuvering properly in order to survive the storm. And then when it's all over and said and done, this is something that we're going to be able to learn from. So we're just positioning ourselves in that way.
That's great. That's great. What are your major challenges being operational during this period?
Honestly, I think it's just being able to stay safe and sanitary during the entire thing. When you deal with customers, you have no idea where they're coming from before they come to your restaurant or
That's right.
your store. So, we do all of the precautions. We have all the standard operating procedures to maintain cleanliness, and obviously wearing face masks and stuff like that is very important here as well. So, we've done a really great job in the last, as far as Amboy is concerned. We've done a great job in the last 6 months to be able to keep our staff safe and our customers safe at the same time.
That's great to hear. That's very great to
Mm.
hear. So let's discuss your book.
Oh,
Um,
yes.
yes, so let's get on with it. Let me start by saying I really enjoyed the structure of the book, how it starts with your childhood and then progressing towards the chef that you are now. And I particularly love the little stories you included to introduce each recipe. Can you tell us what was the process of writing this book with Alexandra Cuerdo? How did you decide on the sections, which recipes to include?
Well, I mean, when we first got the book deal, this was prior to the presidential election here in the United States. in 2016. So at the time, we pitched a book about the modern Filipino food, basically American influence or American food influenced by the Philippines. But considering who was elected and how it became really political post 2017, we decided to kind of go into a deep dive on how it is to grow up as a child of immigrants from the Philippines. So, I wanted to tell my story about how it was growing up in America, but not being American enough to be, American, and going back to the Philippines and not being Filipino enough to be Filipino. So we were kind of in like this weird rock, between a hard place. So I wanted to describe my experience because at the same time, we had a government telling people that we were bad and that that we took jobs away from Americans and this and that. And so I wanted to talk about the struggle of how it was to become successful in this current climate in America. And Alexandra and I, we worked together on a movie called Ulam, a documentary really documenting the growth of Filipino food here in America. Like you said in your introduction, we started Unit 120, and there was no statistical data on modern Filipino food and the Filipino food movement until we started that restaurant. So, there wasn't a top restaurant in Los Angeles or in the country for that matter that was Filipino at the time. And so we really wanted to document how that process was. And because we took that angle on the movie, we wanted to take that angle as well on the book. And it really just, honestly, me and Ali or Alexandra, like our relationship is so close and tight knit that it was just a conversation between us and it translated into a cookbook.
So you decided to like really, that's why it started with your childhood, to show like what it was like growing up and then moving towards where you're going now, like, progressively.
Correct. Like it's a crazy storyline because it starts off, being at the bottom and we didn't have anything growing up, to moving to a Mexican neighborhood and my parents actually, doing well and becoming successful in America, and then eventually me resisting that, because I grew up with a certain yes.
Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. So like I was saying, it started off with us. It started off with my family moving to America. We had nothing, to my parents doing well in their respective careers and me rebelling against that. But it also shows like the dream, right? And the dream that I wanted to have as a child and as a young adult, which was to become a chef. But it doesn't end there. So it was the path of becoming what you want to become and then being on top of the world and then realizing that there's a whole level of problems afterwards that you have to deal with in order to sustain. And so all of that was comforted by food.
Oh.
So so when I was a child, my Lola would teach me how to cook things,
yeah.
and I love that. And then growing up, my coworkers that I worked with taught me how to make Filipino food. And then when growing the culinary school, taught me how to become a professional in something, and then also taught me how to utilize my flavor and my palate as a Filipino American, and how that shaped the food that I make towards the future. And now it's just being a staple in Los Angeles cuisine, and really representing the Philippines and being Filipino to the fullest with high integrity and just that brand value that we deserve to have as Filipino Americans.
That's great. We've been waiting for Filipino cuisine to really like break out globally because it's like we want to be discovered. Like we have such great food.
You do.
Yeah. And we love that you really paid tribute to it, especially like things that not a lot of people would highlight, like goto, for
Hmm.
example, and you made sure to include sauces like toyo mansi in your cookbook. What made you decide to include these recipes that, you know, are humble, we would say, in your book?
You know, so I look at cuisine like I look at Italian food, Japanese food, or I look at Filipino cuisine in that way because, you know, when you look at any type of Mediterranean style food, they have olive oil, and they have, you know, in France they finish everything with very expensive sea salt, or in Japan, you know, when you eat sushi, there's wasabi, there's soy sauce, there's yuzu koshu. And that's not any different from the way we eat. We, you know, we have sausawan, and you know, every time we had any type of dinner or meal, there's always going to be, you know, the holder with the soy sauce and the
Yes,
soup with the suka and the garlic inside.
yes.
And you know, I don't know why we didn't highlight that as an important thing here in American, and as far as like a Filipino representation in America, that wasn't a highlighted, you know, style of describing Filipino food. So I wanted to make sure that like people understood that when we eat, we eat it. We love rice, but we love sabao, we love sausawan, we love all
That's
that stuff.
right.
So I wanted to make sure that that was fully represented in our book because that's how we eat. And then
That's
honestly, what yeah, with our style of cuisine here at Amboy, that's how we are. We need to have sausawan all the time.
And sausawan is a very Filipino way of eating. Like it's very communal. I don't know
Hmm.
if you experienced this growing up, but like in a dinner table, you all share like one sausawan and you all dip
For
your
sure.
teeth into it, right? So it's
Exactly.
a home community way of eating together.
Yeah, and then if you don't have it, it's like kulang, right? Like
That's
there's like
right.
you're missing something. So you can we couldn't have a Filipino book without it.
So you wrote in the preface of the book that this was a story about a brown boy, a child of immigrants who didn't really follow the traditional path to the American dream. What would you want the reader to take away after reading?
I you know, my main goal was so that if you were even remotely thinking about changing careers or picking a path to a career, that you didn't have to stick to, you know, especially being Filipino, you didn't have to stick to a path that your parents want you to choose. You know, I'm a big believer in, um, you know, having a support system, but at the same time, not listening to your support system because sometimes, you know, your parents think they know um, more than you do, but it's your life. So you have to follow your own path. And, you know, my parents, you know, dictated everything in my life from what school to go to
Oh,
what I should wear, and eventually when I finished high school, my parents, you know, they wanted me to become a nurse or an accountant like my mom, and I tried. I went to school and I went to school for nursing at first, and I did one semester and I didn't like blood, so I stopped I stopped doing that, and then I went to business school
okay.
to yeah, to become an accountant, and I didn't like that either. I finished with a management degree, and uh, I really wanted to cook. I think that that was really where I wanted to be. So the moment I said no, and the moment I stopped listening to my mom and dad about my career, the way that started to change. Life started to change and go my way, and I think that's kind of the takeaway when I say that. I didn't follow the traditional path, meaning, you know, I didn't, you know, when I finished college, I didn't get a corporate job or I didn't work in the hospital, and I wasn't married before I was 30, and you know, like I have a completely separate path, and I think that as someone who marched to the beat of their own drum, it worked out for me. And I think that as long as you keep your focus and your desire strong, nothing can get in the way with you becoming what you want to become. And I really wanted that to reflect in our book, and that was really why we eventually titled it the recipes to Filipino American Dream, because it really was.
That's what made you want to become a chef. Like,
I
was
think
there like a pivotal moment?
no, I mean, I worked in as a dishwasher
Okay.
in high school. There's a whole chapter about it in Sacred Heart, and I felt at home. I felt normal when I was in the kitchen, in a professional kitchen. And I know I didn't talk about it in depth there, but when I worked at the retreat house, we would have guest chefs come and cook food for the priests that were visiting for the retreats. And some of these chefs were like high-end chefs,
Wow.
and when I would just watch, when I was 16 years old, I would watch them cook, and how they had their knife neatly in a knife roll, and I would watch the way they would cut vegetables, and I was amazed. I was really amazed. I was like, wow, like it's like watching Michael Jordan shoot free throws, and that's weird. To say that out loud is weird. I I I I knew at that moment that that's who I wanted to emulate. That's who I wanted to become. And so I knew at that point, being a chef was definitely my dream.
That's so nice. That's amazing. I actually really like that part in the book where you describe that you went to Home Depot and bought like blocks and like
Hmm.
carved notches so that you would be able to know the distance or by your feel. It was really amazing and showed the level of dedication and hard work that you really put into this when you decided that you wanted to do this.
Yeah, it's something that I really do love. And it's not even something that like I was like forced to do. It's something I wanted to do. I really wanted just to become the best that I can be. And I knew that it was going to take a really long time, and I knew that there was going to be a process to it. And so I absolutely would do anything to have that advantage, right? So being able to buy those blocks of wood and really train my fingers to know how big one half inch, 1/4 inch, 1/8 inches while I'm cutting was a very big deal. I mean, even today, you know, I had a moment with one of our employees, and I looked at a piece of meat in our deli case, and I told him, I bet you that that piece of meat weighs 2.7 pounds.
And it was.
And and it was. And he was like, how do you know that? And I was like, because I do this all day, every day. It's there's no faking it. When you get to that intuition, when you have that intuition of who you want to be and what you want to become, it's just natural.
That's so amazing. What for you is the best thing about being a chef?
Honestly, I think it also goes back to being Filipino, right? Culturally, we are very we're hospitable people, right? And we even have a word for it. Like we have like a lot of galang. Like it's like, yeah. And so being a chef, that we live off of galang. We either make food out of respect, or we make food because we want to comfort you. And that's something that I took near and dear to my heart. When someone told me they love, oh, Alvin, your mac and cheese, it was the best mac and cheese I've ever had. I want you to make it for my birthday. When someone says that to me, it makes it all worth it. That's why being a chef is one of the most amazing and gratifying things anyone can do.
What would you say is the most challenging thing about being a chef?
I think when you first start off, it's hard because this job it's directly correlated to being a servant, right? Like when you go to the past 100 years, our job is basically slavery. And so when you're first starting, you really do feel that. You feel it a lot. Like you feel the fact that you're making food for someone and they might not be grateful for it. And so that's always been the hardest threshold, is like, is to realizing, like, in the beginning, as a cook, you're making food for someone regardless, and you have to make it with integrity, no matter if they're mean or not, right? And then when you start becoming successful, then you have to start realizing, okay, now I have to teach people, like employees and stuff like that, because if not, then I will kill myself in the kitchen. And when I die, no one will remember me because I didn't teach anyone anything.
That's right.
So now, as at this point in my career, the biggest struggle is being able to teach someone, because we have to teach them that this is also their life. This is their business. Without that person, this will not exist. So being able to teach them to take ownership, to have the same palate and the same integrity that I have, that's the next level, because now you're passing it on. It's becoming now a lineage, right? So currently that's our struggle, because it's tough, in the age where kids can become famous overnight on Instagram. The value of working 15 hours and sweating in a kitchen is no longer alluring and appealing. So we have to be able to make it enticing for the person who's learning, and also make it rewarding so that they can do it for the rest of their life, just like I did.
It's so great. I'm sure it would be really fulfilling to pass it on, like
Mhm.
your legacy and the things that you want to share about Filipino food and Filipino American food also.
Mhm.
You actually wrote a lot about your family, your dad, your Auntie Sita, who you called the king
Mhm.
of frying. How did
Mhm.
they influence your relationship with food? Did they play a part in shaping you as the chef that you are now?
Absolutely. I think at a very young age, I learned how to make simple food, and simple food translates to amazing food. My auntie Sita would make some amazing turon, and like, and even her bibinka and her kuchinta and all that. And it was super, like, 5 or 6 ingredients, but the flavor and the textures were so amazing and unforgettable. And so just learning how to make food with such humble ingredients was really able to train me to make that style of food. I don't make like super fancy food. I'm not known for that. I'm known for like the simple food that anyone can make at home. But at the same time, they come to my restaurant because they know that, like, we adore process, and we like the technique, and we like the foundations. And so you can taste that in our food. And I think that my Auntie Sita, Danilo, my dad especially, even till this day, they always teach me a lesson in humility and simplicity. And I think that's really what keeps the brand strong.
Do you have any other culinary influences and or heroes that you looked up to either when you were younger or until now?
Oh yeah, there's a lot. When I was in culinary school, Thomas Keller, he was my idol, right? Because he was so Thomas Keller was such an ama- or is such an amazing chef that he treated food with reverence and respect. And even he doesn't like using tongs. He says you never want to pinch your food. You want to use a spoon so you can delicately flip it. You want to touch, you want to feel, you want to smell. So he was a huge influence in my culinary style. Even if I make simple food like hamburgers or sandwiches, I still use that same mindset where everything has to be pristine and clean, and you flip a hamburger this way, not this way, all because it's all about the deliciousness comes from the way you handle your food. And I learned that from him. He is one of like the biggest mentors and idols that I've had in the culinary world, for sure. And I think that, like, ultimately, like, as I started my way into fast casual, food, like people like Roy Choi here in Los Angeles, and people like him really shaped who and really helped me own who I was, because they were just like me. They're from LA. They're not necessarily a buttoned up white collared person. They're from the street and they didn't hide who they are, and that to me is real.
That
you
gave
know
you like a path that this is who I can become, you know.
yeah, exactly.
That's so great to have that. What do you think makes Filipino cuisine special? Like what is it with our food?
You know what, I think it's the to be honest with you, I think it's the communal aspect to the food, right? We don't, I mean, besides the calendaria style food, that's in a sense, that's also communal. But, when
It
we
is.
make food, we don't make it per portion, we make it per pot, right?
Yes.
So, and I think that's why it's so cool, because, when you cook French food or when you cook Italian food, you make pasta, you're making one pasta at a time per person, right? And it's very individual. But for Filipinos, it's a celebration, even if it's just dinner. Because when I was younger and it's 7 o'clock at night and my dad would come home from work, no one can sit onto the table until we all eat. So, and if everything was served in pots, everything was passed. In America we call it family style,
Yes.
and I think that's the essence of Filipino food. Um, it's something that we share as a family, and I think that's what's so special about Filipino food, and also the flavors. I mean, long, slow cooked stews and soups like nilaga or bulalo, machado, stuff like that. Caldereta. I mean, that takes such time and patience. It's almost so Catholic, right? Like, it's very Catholic. It's like you wait and you wait and you wait and you wait for it, and then when you eat it,
Yeah.
it's like an amazing feeling, right? It's it's like it's the same thing. It's like we're raised that way, right? When you're raised Catholic, it's like, oh wait, don't worry, wait, just keep praying, and then your time will come. It's it's the same thing we do. We view it's the same way we view our food, right? Especially when there's like parties, like it's someone's birthday, and the moment you wake up, you already can smell the food being prepared, but you can't touch it until everyone can eat, right? The anticipation, it's not instant. It's something that you earn and you yearn for.
Yeah. How do you translate the communal aspect of Filipino cuisine with Amboy? Like, how do you take that and make other people experience that same feeling?
Right. So I mean, here it it's pretty funny because, like, in the book, for example, in the book we do like a whole pandesal spread,
Mhm.
right? Like, we show, like, when you make pandesal, like when you have like a pandesal fest, like you have to have a lot of pandesal, you have to have this, and you have to share, and we kind of on by photograph showed how that is. When we used to do Amboy, we would do events, and it wasn't kamayan or like a boodle fight or anything like that, because we knew that was something a little bit more specific and almost entertainment. We
Yeah.
wanted to show how it was to make Filipino food, but in like a fine dining or American style setting. So what we did was we ended up just making beautifully plated food, but to share,
Mhm.
you know, because that's the essence of Filipino food. It's all about, the plates to share. When we started to do it for individual portions, what we ended up doing was we made it like binalot style, where we wrapped it in banana leaf, and then we wrapped that in butcher paper, so that people can understand how this is kind of like how we eat on an individual way. It's like, an experience in itself, right? We like to we like the essential oils of the banana leaf for the food, and we don't give you a fork, we give you a spoon, right? Because if you can't use your hands, then for us we like to scoop because we're very rice focused. And yeah, I mean that's how we try to share like the communal aspect with food, either when it comes to doing pop-ups or even when we do individual style food. We show you that it's supposed to be eaten a certain way, and really that's we just try to capture the essence of how Filipinos eat, even when it comes to fast casual settings where you have to eat your own food by yourself.
What if you were introducing a non-Filipino to Filipino food? Which dish would you make for them?
Oh, honestly, I think that I would probably make my my friends from Lhasa across the street is waving at me. They're that's another Filipino restaurant here in LA. But no, to answer your question, I would say I probably serve bulalo, because for me, or nilaga, either way, which
No.
there's almost the same. But I would definitely do some type of soup, like that, because it really just it tastes so comforting, and it's like a hug, and and so when I feel like if you were to capture Filipino spirit, we are that we are nilaga, or we are like a bulalo. We're comforting and we're welcoming, and I think that you know it's beyond lumpia and pancit, right? Like we're more than that. Our culture, like when my mom, she loves to hug people, when she says hi, even if she doesn't know you. When you come to her home, she will hug you. So that would probably be the one dish, because also you utilize patis as a sausawan as well on the side.
Right.
Yeah, there's different elements. We can put a plate of calamansi, and you can squeeze it and flavor it. That's a big thing for Filipino food too,
It
is
is.
customization, right? Even if you don't like the way the dish is presented to you, there will be accoutrements and everything on the sides for you to maneuver and timpla the food the way you want to, right? And that's so Filipino. So yeah, absolutely, I would
And we
do
don't
nilaga
find it
or.
offensive. Like adding
Oh
stuff.
no.
It's not offensive to us. I mean, I'm sure in other cuisine it is, right? Like,
Oh
why
yeah.
would you change my food? But for us,
Oh
it's
yeah. For
normal.
sure. For sure. Like, I used to work in restaurants, and if someone would ask for a side of salt, the chef would be offended. And not in the Filipino culture. I mean, we want to have the patis, we want to have suka, we want to have crispy garlic,
Yeah.
on top of things. So yeah, I think those two dishes really would spark interest to non-Filipinos
I
for
would
sure.
like to say to everyone who's watching, Amboy has a really good recipe on bulalo ramen. So you should get this book.
Yeah, that's so modern, right? Like
Yeah. I was like,
people in the Philippines.
whoa,
Yeah, people in the Philippines love ramen,
we
and
do.
we love it here too. And so when I opened a ramen restaurant, that was something that we would make for fun, because we were all Filipino who owned it. And so I would make a Filipino bulalo style ramen, and I mean it has everything. It has
I
everything you
can't
like,
wait to do it.
noodles. Yeah, it's so delicious. It's delicious.
What recipe book do you think every home cook should have on their shelf?
Besides mine,
Yes, besides
uh,
yours, of course.
no, besides mine, I honestly think that there's this book called Joe Beef. It's these two chefs from Montreal, Quebec, Canada, and I think that it's loosely called like Joe Beef, the guide to being a great uh, a dinner companion. But I think that book is you have to have it, because it's a book for people who loves food. and the way they're so poetic about the way they describe food will make you so hungry and so eager to cook. And that's one of the books that I think that I mean, I read all the time and reference with my cuisine as well. So that's one. And you know, there, Julia Child's book is huge too, because again, another great poetic masterpiece that really makes you hungry when you read it. So I would say those two books are solid.
Yay. What's next for you? I mean, after this book, with in terms of either writing, storytelling, or new food concepts.
You know, right now I'm at a position where I feel like I've done a lot, and I think right now my focus is on growing people and being able to help, you know, people who are enthusiastic about Amboy and Amboy cuisine, and and really taking that to the next level by, you know, creating my own lineage as in the chef world, and so teaching people. I mean, when people work with me, I've had employees that have been with me for 7 years and they never left. And till this day, you know, my right hand man here at the restaurant, he's been working with me since 2015. And so, you know, I like to cultivate people because that will become our future.
That's true.
And so that's really what I'm focused on right now. And, you know, I dabble into like TV writing. Um, and I'm also working on like other forms of writing as well, like beyond cookbooks. So, you know, like how to business style books based on my experiences with business in America.
We'll look forward to that. So for our
Yeah.
next section, we want to ask you like a few prompts, and for each prompt, if you can give your top three for
Okay.
each item. So
Okay.
first one, favorite food to cook.
Oh man, the first thing off the bat would probably be spam. Uh, yeah, I love making spam, especially. I mean, I don't eat it as often as I would like to, but if I'm in a hurry and it's in my pantry, spam number one, eggs number two, and I think rice. So just spam silog
Yes,
intertwined.
and spam with egg and pandesal.
Oh,
That's
so good.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I love it.
Favorite food to eat. I guess
Ooh, my favorite food. I think my favorite food to eat is anything with noodles. I love pasta. I love chow mein, lo mein, ramen. You know, pancit canton. um, I think anything that has to have noodles in it, I love.
favorite ingredient.
Ooh, my favorite ingredient, I think, but it'd probably be garlic for sure.
Very
I
Pinoy.
think that, yeah, when I used to have a food truck, we didn't put garlic in much food because it was for breakfast. But I used to slice garlic in thin slices, and I would put it on the griddle, so that the smell of garlic would be the fragrance outside of the truck, and people would walk up to the truck and they're like, "It smells delicious in here." I'm like, "Oh, come have breakfast."
That's an amazing trick. That's so amazing.
Yeah,
Favorite kitchen tool.
a spoon.
Cool.
Yeah, you can do so much with a spoon. You could use it like a spatula. You can mix. You can use it as like a whisk. It's so versatile. I think you can use a spoon for so much in the kitchen.
Okay. Um, favorite chefs.
Oh,
Well,
my favorite chefs. I think my favorite chefs outside in the world today. There's a man named Ori Minash here in LA. He does Israeli food, and he does Italian food. And honestly, every time I eat at his restaurants, he has a book called Bestia. And every time I go to his restaurant, I walk away so inspired because of the flavor profiles and the technique. I'm amazed by his food. You know, and I think, man, Wolfgang Puck, he was an idol of mine, and um, who else is there? I think those guys are the main ones, and um, yeah, I think those two.
Mhm. Top three best cooking advice you've received.
Oh, uh, it's a marathon, not a sprint. So trust the process. Um, you're gonna fail, so don't be scared of failing. And then three, you're always gonna cut yourself when you're not focused. So always focus.
I remember that. Okay.
Yeah.
Top three best food shows or channels,
Ooh.
apart from the burger show, of course.
Oh yeah. I think what I like, I tend to frequent a lot is binging with Babish
Yes, I
on
know that.
YouTube. Yeah, is one of my favorites. Panglasang Pinoy
Yes,
is
that's very
also one of my favorites. I watch it all the time, just to see if I'm doing things right. Because sometimes I'm like, I really get like a hankering for something, and I'll try to make it myself, and I'll say I'm doing something wrong, so I'm gonna go watch Panglasang Pinoy to see how it is. And I think lately I've been watching a lot of. Have you seen this guy? His name's Guga
no.
on YouTube. So he's this Brazilian guy who lives in Miami. It's called Guga Foods
Okay,
on YouTube. I love it.
I'll
He's
check it out.
hilarious. He's so funny. Yeah, I think those are the three that I watch quite often, almost on a daily basis.
Okay, I'll check that out. Three top three must-haves in your fridge.
Oh, I have to have rice,
Okay,
like some type of cooked rice, leftover rice,
yes.
because I never have time to do anything intricate. So making rice is very important. I have to have eggs because I can hard boil it, and that could be a meal, or I can mix it with things and make an omelet. And I think lastly, it would probably have to be milk. I love milk. I'm one of those guys who are not lactose intolerant, so I can drink milk all the time. I think those three things are vital to have in your refrigerator at all times.
Okay, last one, but we're really excited about your answer for this one. Top three best Pinoy party food.
Ooh, lumpia Shanghai,
Yes,
number number one. Lumpia Shanghai is number one because especially when I go to parties, that's all I eat. I just
it's not a
eat so
party without
much.
lumpiang Shanghai.
Yeah, it's not. It's not. And I love when there's like pancit canton, the with the egg noodles. I like pancit bihon a lot, and that's always at the family parties. But I like it when it's like special pancit.
Okay,
And lately they have the rolled lechon now, like
the belly lechon.
yeah, belly lechon. That's the new one, right? That's the
Yeah.
new one. I think that when you go to a party that has one of those, it's kind of like, ooh, this is gonna be good food.
Ah, okay. And then for our last section, so we're gonna do this or that. So you have to choose between two things, and you can
Okay.
say why. So first, I think I know the answer, but I want to hear from you first. Sinigang or bulalo?
Ooh, I think I'm gonna go with sinigang.
Really?
Sinigang baka.
Yes.
Yeah, I love it. I love it so much. In fact, I make barbecue, like Texas style barbecue, and I make my own tamarind rub. So when the short rib becomes nice and soft, the outside flavoring tastes like sinigang.
Wow, that's so nice. Okay.
Yeah, I love it.
Burger or steak?
Oh, I would say burger.
Okay.
I would say burger because it's more comforting to me and easy to eat.
True. Okay. Asin or toyo?
Oh, toyo for sure.
Really? Okay.
Oh, I love soy sauce.
Hmm. Frito or sabaw?
Sabaw. The way it mixes with the rice. Oh, it's the best taste in the world.
Bread or rice?
Rice, 100%.
I'm sure a lot of our audience relate. Pizza or pasta?
Pasta. That's easy.
You can say whichever one you like to do it. Eggs. What's your favorite?
Oh, my favorite way to make eggs is like semi-scrambled.
Okay.
Yeah, so whole egg cracked into the pan and then just kind of scrambled a little bit.
But it's still like,
That's my favorite.
not
Yeah, it's
overall.
still white and yellow. You can still, it's not 100% mixed.
Pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
I love it.
Okay.
I love it. Yeah, that I don't know if that's because I'm Filipino and that's the way my mom likes to order it, but I'm not against pineapple on pizza at all.
Last question. Fine dining or food truck?
Ooh, food trucks give me post-traumatic stress. So I'm gonna say fine dining.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. We really enjoyed our conversation. I
Of
mean,
course. Thanks for having me.
I'm sure this will make people want to read your book, and they should. It's a really lovely book. Do you have
Please
any?
do.
Yes. Do you have any other message or for everyone who's watching us today?
Well, hey, follow me on Instagram or on Facebook at Alvin Cailan. Make sure to check out the book as well. But also, don't be afraid to promote Filipino food. I know that everyone, likes to take pictures of hamburgers and pizza and hot dog. But sometimes, if you go to your Lola's house, or if you make an amazing dinuguan, or if you make an amazing kare kare, take a picture and post it because people want to know and people should know about our food. And I think that's how it spreads, just by just being able to tell people or tell the world that you're eating Filipino food. So don't be afraid and always post Filipino food when you can and when you're eating it because it's delicious and everyone should try it.
Thank you very much to everyone who's joined us today. So get your own copies of Amboy, Recipes from the Filipino American Dream at Fully Book Online and our Fully Book store. So you can get it and check it out at www.fullybookonline.com. Thank you and enjoy the rest of the day.
Thank